Hey, what's up, everybody? Um, wow, thank y'all for hopping on tonight. We got a big crowd. Let's see. Yeah, hopefully we got everything going. Sometimes with these webinar stuff, you get a little out of control with some things, but we should have everything up. Please send a little chat if anything's messing up on your end. So please send a chat if anything is messing up on your end. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I know we're sharing the second screen. We're going to jump right in at 6 o'clock. My name is Reid Mathews with Berry Financial. I'm glad you hopped on tonight. We are in the full effect of annual enrollment period. Full effect annual enrollment period with Medicare. I absolutely love Medicare. I believe in some of the newsletters and things marketed. I call myself the Medicare master. It gives a good ring to it, and I personally love the annual enrollment period because I am one popular guy. I tell Richard Berry, my father-in-law and founder of Berry Financial Group. I tell him and thanks to Brad Morgan for the shout out on the everything's working. But I tell my father-in-law, Richard Berry, the founder of Berry Financial, I tell him, I say, Mr. Berry, I say a lot of people care a lot about their money, but they really care about their health insurance and their prescriptions. And guess what? I do too. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So we're going to dive into Medicare, a lot of cool things going on, and really what to know about Medicare. You can get as complicated or as simple as you possibly want to make it. My goal tonight is to give you value and kind of make it as simple as I possibly can. Because when you look at the nuts and the bolts, and when you dive into the facts, and when you dive into all the little details, it is extremely, extremely complicated. So let's jump in. Medicare. Does this guy look confused? Yes, he does. And this is how I looked the first time I heard about it. What kind of Medicare penalties are there? Are there Medicare deadlines? You got Part A, Part C, Part B, Part D. You got Plan G, Plan F, Plan N. You got Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Is anybody having fun yet? I hope so. So let's keep going. Let's keep moving into this stuff. What is Medicare? It literally is the federal health insurance program for people 65 and over, or it is insurance for people under 65 with certain disabilities, like people with end-stage renal disease, which is some permanent kidney failure requiring dialysis or transplant, sometimes called ESRD. So Medicare is for people with disability, like Social Security disability. If you have Social Security disability for 2 years, you will get enrolled into Medicare if you're under 65. Signing up for Medicare, Part A and B. This is one of the biggest questions and one of the biggest topics is, hey, what do I need to do when I'm getting close to signing up? Well, if you're already getting benefits from Social Security or the railroad retirement, you will automatically be enrolled in Part A and Part B. So if you are already getting benefits from Social Security, when you reach 65, you will automatically be enrolled. They typically will mail you your beautiful red, white, and blue Medicare card, usually 3 months before you turn 65. So they will typically mail you your Medicare card 3 months before you turn 65 if you're already receiving Social Security. If you're under 65 and disabled, this is where I said a second ago, you'll get automatically enrolled in a Part A and B after you've been receiving Social Security disability for 2 years. So 3 months before you turn 65, if you're already enrolled, you will automatically get your card. If you do nothing, you will begin paying your Part B premiums and you will be enrolled into Medicare. You can choose not to keep your Part B, which we'll go into in a little bit later. But if you wait to enroll when you're supposed to enroll, you will pay a penalty if you later join. So if you're not automatically enrolled, when can you sign up? Well, during your initial enrollment period. So the IEP is considered initial enrollment period. During the 7th-month period, which begins 3 months before the month you turn 65, it includes the month you turn 65, and it ends 3 months after the month you turn 65. So let's say you're not receiving Medicare. You have to physically call or go online to the Medicare.gov or SocialSecurity.gov, and you have to enroll yourself. If you are turning 65, planning on getting on Medicare, and you're not taking Social Security or the railroad retirement benefits, you have to manually do it yourself. The special enrollment period. So if you didn't sign up for Part B because you were first, or when you were first eligible, because let's say you're still working, or you're under a group health plan, whether it be your own, spouses, or family members, you can sign up for Part A and Part B anytime you're still covered by the group health plan, or during the 8-month period that begins after the employment ends. So let's look at an example. Let's say you've been working at age 65, you're still working, so you get your Medicare card, you send it back. Fast forward, let's say you work 2 more years. Now you're 67. You have Part A because they give it to you for free if you paid your 40 quarters or worked for 10 years and paid into the system. But now you're 67 and you've been working the last 2 years, so you've been on an employer plan. And now let's say your employer plan is ending in a couple months. Well, that's a special enrollment period. You have 8 months after your current employment ends to pick up a Part B supplement and avoid the penalty if you later join. So we just went over the initial enrollment period as well as the special enrollment period. Then comes the general enrollment period. So let's say you didn't sign up for Part A and Part B during your initial enrollment period, and you don't qualify for a special enrollment. Well, you can sign up any year between January 1st and March 31st each year. However, the coverage doesn't start until July 1st of that year, and you may have to pay a higher premium. So we've spent a few minutes already going into the enrollment stuff. This right here, the general enrollment period, does not happen often. 99.9% of the time, people will enroll when they're 65 or right when they're coming off of their employment, because health insurance is very, very, very important, no doubt about it. Then you have the annual enrollment period. That is where we are in right now. It happens October 15th through December 7th every year. It's considered the annual enrollment period, AEP, annual enrollment period. So what can you do during this? You can switch from original Medicare to a Medicare Advantage plan or vice versa. That's one thing you can do during the annual enrollment period. Right now, if you're on Medicare, you can go from original Medicare to Medicare Advantage or vice versa. You can switch from one Medicare Advantage plan to another during this period. Then you can switch from one prescription plan to another. Coverage won't take place until January 1st, but right now, as it states, during your annual enrollment period, you can go from original Medicare to an Advantage plan, which we'll discuss, go from Advantage plan to another Advantage plan, or go from prescription plan to another prescription plan. This stuff changes every single year. These different benefits of prescription coverages, these different benefits of Advantage plans. The Medigap plans we'll talk about will stay the same except the premium, but this stuff changes every year, October 15th through December 7th. That's when they send out the benefits packages for January 1st of 2020. Then you got another enrollment period called the Medicare Advantage Open Enrollment Period, which is January 1st through March 31st. So let's say you say, hey, Reid, I want to switch to an Advantage plan during my annual enrollment period. And then come February 2nd or something, you say, man, Reid, I do not like this plan. Can I get out of it? yes, you will be taking advantage of the Medicare Advantage open enrollment period, where you can change from one Advantage plan to a different one, or you can drop that Advantage plan and return to original Medicare Part A and B. So if you go to an Advantage plan during this time, you can switch it in January 1st through March 31st. They extended that to give people more time to fill out whether they like their health insurance coverage or not. When you're looking at Medicare in general, this is a chart that I show all the time. I like to put people through a 90-second Medicare 101 class. If you come in and see me, that's typically what I do. And here's the chart that I show. You see we got two sides of the chart. If you go on the left side, and I'll be referring to this side as the left side, the original Medicare side, that's where probably I would go as far to say 70% of people will go to that side. Original Medicare, you do have your Part A and Part B. Medicare covers 80% of Part A and Part B. You paid into Part A if you've worked for 10 years and paid into the system, or 40 quarters. Your Part B is your medical and doctor's visits. That is what we discussed about you enrolling when you first turn 65. So you will not really see a premium for Part A because you technically paid for it by paying into the system. Part B for 2019 was $135.50. People can pay that out of Social Security if they're taking it. I'd say if you're taking Social Security, 99.9% of people will pay from their Social Security their Part B. Well, what if you're still working, or what if you're not working but you're not taking Social Security? Then you will have to pay for Part B yourself. That'll be via, you can do bank draft to Medicare directly. Most of the time people get billed quarterly for their Medicare Part B, but you'll pay out of your pocket directly as opposed to paying from your Social Security. So Medicare covers 80% of Part A and Part B. Then if you're on original Medicare, you need to pick up a prescription drug coverage, a Part D prescription drug plan. We'll talk about that in a moment. Then to round it out, you pick a Medigap plan, a Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, also known as a Medigap. We'll dive into that too. So that is the left side. You'll have Medicare covering 80%. We recommend picking up a prescription plan and then a Medigap plan. If you are on the right side, you can go to the right side going into Medicare, like the Medicare Advantage plan. That's in HMOs or a PPOs, preferred provider organizations. They typically combine everything. They typically combine your prescriptions with your health insurance. Sometimes they give you some dental benefits, and sometimes they give you some vision benefits, as well as some other things. Due to this being an educational event and not a specific like one-on-one meeting, by law, I'm not allowed to talk about plan specifics when it comes to Advantage plans, or really plan specifics when it comes to prescription plans. So I'll be vague to the extent of telling you basically what it is, but from a law standpoint, and I definitely want to follow the law being an educational event, I can't talk about plan specifics. A lot of people love Advantage plans. A lot of people love the Medigap plans. There's pros and cons to each. Most people will go to the left side due to some of the things. With the Advantage plans, people always ask, well, what's the advantage? The advantage that people love when everything is combined, simplicity. A lot of times they like having a little bit of dental, a little bit of vision. Some of the downsides to going to an Advantage plan are you usually have to stay in network to keep your costs low. Well, what if somebody travels? They may not like that. The other downside to that Advantage plan that we've seen are you typically will have co-pays or higher deductibles if you go on the Advantage plan and you start using it. The other downside we would say was if you go to the Advantage plan, you have 1 year to go back to the original Medicare, Or if you go to the Advantage plan, let's say you're on it 3 or 4 years, and then your health changes. Let's say you got a stroke, a heart attack, or cancer or something. You won't probably be able to go back to the original Medicare because it'll be underwritten, meaning you have to pass the health questions to go back to the supplement. Let's say you turn 65 and you go, or when you're turning 65 and enrolling into Medicare, it does not matter what your health is. You could literally have cancer and be on your deathbed, but the companies for the Medigap supplements will have to accept you. After your initial enrollment period, they don't have to accept you. For the Medigap plan, the left side, they could say, based on your health information or your health status or different things that happen, they could say, hey, no, we are not going to accept you. So that's what scares people about going to the Advantage plans, is that if something happens, they may not be able to get back to the Medigap. But I'll tell you this, we like them both. Love Medigap plans, love Advantage plans. There's pros and cons to each. This is the example of the new card. Pure sample, pure example. So this is not somebody's actual card. This was really cool last year to me because they had the Social Security number on everybody's card. And some people would come in and black it out. And I'd tell them, of course, that I needed the number. But this is definitely a more secure way, in my opinion. Kudos to Medicare for doing a good job. It's nobody's going to guess that number. I definitely will not. They tell you to treat your Medicare card now like a credit card. So highly recommend treating your Medicare card like a credit card, which, I mean, when you come to think of it, I think in the last 3 years, I've had my credit card hacked probably 3 or 4 times. So that's some cybersecurity is a whole nother webinar. We won't dive into that stuff. So how much does Part A and Part B cost? Once again, generally Part A is premium free from paying into Medicare while you or your spouse are working. It's $437 per month for 2019 if you're no longer working. However, is Medicare means tested? Yes, it is. What does that mean? If you're showing too much taxable income, will you pay more for your Medicare Part B and Part D? And the answer is yes. Medicare is means tested. If you are showing too much income, you will pay more due to IRMA, income-related monthly adjustment amounts. So for instance, if you're single and filing as a single individual and you're making more than $85,000, instead of your premium being the $135, it may be $200 versus, and if you're married filing jointly showing over $170,000, your premium will be like $202 in 2019. So you see how that's actually gone up, and they look at your income 2 years ago too, by the way. So like they won't look at your income. Let's say you made $190,000 in 2017. Well, for 2019, I'd be paying the $202 a month for my Medicare Part B. So they look at your income 2 years ago. I will say this, sometimes, well, people may say, well, Reid, I was working 2 years ago. I'm no longer working now, so I'm not making near that income. Why do I have to pay that much? I don't know the answer to that. I wish you didn't have to pay that much. I will say there's a slim chance that if you can appeal the IRMA, so you can appeal the income related adjustment amount to the government and say, hey, I'm no longer making this kind of money. Why are you going to make me pay more? Very, very, very rarely will they change their mind and give you a lesser premium. However, if you got the time and the effort, that may be something you want to reach out and do if you're in that situation. Here's some of the penalties for late enrollment. You see, for 1 year, it'll cost you $10 a month for your Part B, or about $390 on your Part D. So they'll get you on your Part B and Part D. People may say, well, Reid, is that penalty for a year? No, that penalty is lifetime. If you get that penalty, it is a lifetime penalty. Well, let's think about it. What if you didn't enroll for 5 years? That's $50 a month penalty for Part B and another $20 monthly penalty for Part D. That's 70 something bucks a month for not enrolling when you should, and that penalty is lifetime. Well, my goodness, what if you live to be 105? They are really they're getting some money. They're getting some money for you. So we recommend the prescription plans. That's just a whole nother ballgame we'll dive into. But like people say, well, Reid, I'm not even on medications. Why do I have to pay, $15 a month for it? Well, you don't have to. You can say no, but just full disclosure, you will pay that penalty if you don't accept it when you have to. And people say, hey, my premium's $3 at Costco. Why do I have to pay a $20 monthly premium? I wish you didn't. I wish they could change that stuff because it doesn't make sense to me. But it is what it is. Medicare Part A, that's your hospital visits. That pays for inpatient care. That pays for inpatient care in a hospital, inpatient care in a skilled nursing facility. This is not custodial or long-term care. Medicare does not cover long-term care. Hospice care, home health care if it's medically necessary. So there's a lot of different rules that we don't have the time to go into on what it pays for home health care. But normally a good way to think about it is that if you are improving, meaning you are rehabilitating and getting better, Medicare will typically pay for it. So as long as you're getting better, normally up to a certain amount of days, Medicare will pay for medically necessary things. Meaning if you have a stroke, let's use it. Meaning if you break your hip and man, you go down, you got to have surgery, you can't really do anything, and you go home and you need some help, which of course is rehabilitating. The majority of the time the hip will heal if everything's done appropriately. They'll pay for some health care, home health care to help you out. Well, let's say 6 months from now, you're still not better. Oh, it's a lot less than that. Let's say it's like 90 days from now, you're still not getting better. You are done. You've plateaued. The doctor said, hey, this person with their hip, they've plateaued. And let's say you still can't really walk well and you still can't dress yourself or eat for yourself. They're not paying. That's when long-term care insurance, which we did a webinar on a couple months ago, that's when that is a big deal. Medicare Part B is your medical insurance. So Part A is your hospital insurance. Part B is your medical insurance. That brings in your doctor services, your outpatient care, home health services, durable medical equipment, mental health services, and many preventative services, different screenings, lab works, colonoscopies. Who likes getting a colonoscopy? I've never had one. I'm not looking forward to it. I got to be honest, but they say you got to get that thing done to save your life sometimes. Easily avoidable if you do the prep. But I don't I don't know how I started talking about colonoscopies, but I definitely do not want to have to do that. But if it's a preventative and can save my life, I'll do it. No doubt about it. Different lab works, different mammogram screenings, and different items like that. What's not covered by Part A and Part B? Most dental care. I do have a brother-in-law who is a dentist, Dr. Jordan Berry. I call him Dr. J. He lives right next to me. He is on 82nd Parkway with Myrtle Beach Dental Associates. Great firm. Highly recommend him. I am biased because he's the father to my beautiful little niece. So I am biased for sure, but Medicare does not cover dental care. Don't cover eye exams if it's related to prescribing glasses. Dentures, they don't cover. Cosmetic surgeries, massage therapies, acupunctures, hearing aids, long-term care. Pretty interesting how they don't cover any dental eye exam or eye things, eye exam with glasses, dentures, hearing aids. Well, Lord willing, I won't need hearing aids until I'm on Medicare. And when you're on Medicare, they don't cover them. So pretty interesting. but they don't cover them. So out-of-pocket expenses could get pretty high if you got, I know hearing aids are expensive, no doubt about it. Dental care is expensive, my goodness. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Advantage plans offered by Medicare-approved private companies that must follow rules set by Medicare. So normally you'll still have your Part A and Part B. If you go with like an HMO, you may not, but most of the time you'll still have your Part A and Part B with the Advantage plans, but it's not considered original Medicare. Types of the Advantage plans: you got your HMOs, health maintenance organizations, your PPOs, your preferred provider organizations. The thing I like about the PPOs is, yes, you can go in network to save money. That's why when I was talking about the network, but if you have a preferred provider organization, the other doctors will accept you. But if it's out of network, you'll have to pay the going rate, which could be a lot. So you may definitely pay a lot more out of pocket, but they will accept you. Whereas if you got an HMO, a health maintenance organization, and let's say you're traveling and out of network, they may literally decline you. They don't have to accept you. Private fee for service, Advantage plans, special needs plans. Usually if you got some extremely low income, I'm talking like 15 grand and less per year, or if you got some real issues going on from a health standpoint, normally you can get a special needs plan. But that typically has to be the gamut, that you got to have some low income and some real health issues going on. HMO, point of service plans, and medical savings accounts. All these are considered Advantage plans. A lot of these plans too depends on where you're offered, whether where you live, what kind of plans you have. So you may say, Reid, man, I want a HMO point of service plan. Well, that plan may not even be around in Myrtle Beach. So those are some plan specifics that I'm not allowed to discuss, but lot of options when it comes to the Advantage plans. Medicare Advantage plans, they cover all A and B services. So you'll still have your A and B. Medicare Advantage plan. What happens is Medicare pays these Advantage companies a flat fee. So for instance, Humana, United Healthcare, Aetna, WellCare, Mutual Omaha, with their Advantage plans, Medicare pays them a flat fee. Based on that fee that Medicare pays, they come out and design these products and these Advantage plans. So people say, how do I have an Advantage plan with $0 premium? Well, it's amazing, really, is that they can do that. But if you end up using it, they know, meaning the companies know who designed that plan, they know what they're going to pay or what they're not going to pay based on those benefits allowed, and they know if it's going to be profitable. You will pay more for services from doctors who are out of network. They have a yearly limit on out-of-pockets, meaning like the deductible, if you end up using it a lot, it could be up to $7,000, maybe $10,000 if you're out of network. Some offer supplemental benefits, fitness memberships, the dental and vision. That's kind of where I was going at with that a little bit earlier. And most have prescription plan drugs included. When you see an Advantage plan, and I see them advertised on TV all the time, and they sound so good, man. Oh my gosh, Advantage plan sounds so good. You got $0 premium. You got a fitness membership included. You got some dental. You got some vision insurance. That sounds awesome. No doubt about it. And guess what? If you stay healthy and you understand what it does and what it doesn't do, you may love it. Straight up. I've had people come in and they love it. But I've also had people come in and not like it because they say, my gosh, I've used it a ton. I got a $500 bill there, a $1,500 bill there. I can't go to this doctor. So a lot of pros and cons to everything, as y'all know. Medigap supplemental plans. You cannot have an Advantage plan and a Medigap plan. With the Medigap supplemental plans, any doctor that has Medicare or that takes Medicare has to take your Medigap plan. I was discussing with the Advantage plans. They don't have to take it. Any doctor that takes Medicare has to take your Medigap plan. So this is what's considered when people call it, say, a supplemental insurance, myself included, this is typically what I refer to, the Medigap. So an advantage plan is technically supplement insurance too. It's just an advantage plan. The Medigap is the supplemental plan. In 2020, the F plan and the C plan will no longer be offered for new people. That's a change due to the macro change. In 2020, the F plan and C plan will no longer be offered for new people. However, if you've had Medicare A prior to 2020, you could still get the C or F plan going forward. Prime example, let's say 3 years ago, you got the F plan. And let's say this coming next year, your price increase on you, and you said, Reid, I love the F plan. Can I still get the F plan? Yes. Most people don't know that. Most people think they're never going to be able to switch again if you have the F plan. That's not true. If you have Medicare Part A prior to 2020, well, let's say back in 2017, you signed up with the G plan. Well, and let's say 5 years from now, you want to go to the F plan, you will be able to. So if you got the G plan now and you've had the G plan for 3 years, well, starting next year, you could still get the F plan. It's for people that have their Medicare Part A in 2020 and later. The F plan and C plan will not be offered. No way, no how are you getting that plan if your Medicare Part A starts January 1st, 2020 or later. These are some of the plans that are going to be offered. You have the A, B, D, G, K, L, M, N, and the C and F for people that are still on it. So if you see as they show all the benefits, the plans that we like are the F plan. Love the F plan. I love the G plan. I really like the N plan too, but if I had to pick my personal preference, the F and the G plan, in my opinion, are great, but the N plan is still really good. And some of these other plans are good too. The G plan, the only difference with the G plan than the F plan is that it doesn't cover the Medicare Part B deductible. The Medicare Part B deductible was $185 for 2019. Well, so what is Medicare Part B? That's your doctor's visits. So let's say you go with the G plan and you said, hey, I'm going to the doctor January 15th, and he comes back and says, hey, you owe me $250. You pay him the first $185 deductible out of your pocket. You don't have another out-of-pocket expense the rest of the year except your monthly premium. So it turns basically into the F plan. Well, going forward, starting next year, new people won't even be able to get the F plan. The F plan we call the Cadillac plan. It covers everything. Will you pay a little more for it? Yep. But some people are willing to do that, no doubt about it, because you got no out-of-pocket expense. The G plan is identical to the F plan except that deductible. The reason that they're taking those plans away, the C and the F plan, is because they cover that deductible. They found with all their research and resources that if the client doesn't have to pay any dollar out of pocket when they go to the doctor, they'll be running for everything. I know I would. Man, I don't feel good today. Am I going to die? Let's go to the doctor and find out. It's no money. It's just a monthly premium. That would be me. Whereas they found with the resources, they said, oh, man, I got to pay the first $185 out of my pocket. I'm feeling good, or I'm not feeling good, but well, I ain't feeling that bad. I ain't feeling $185 bad. That's what they found with their studies. We've heard the Medicare Part B may be going up to $190 something next year. That is not official. Here we are, October 24th, 2019. We have not heard any official ruling on what the Part B deductible will be for 2020. We don't know what the Part B premium will do for 2020, whether that'll go up. I can tell you this, I'm going into my sixth year here at Berry Financial. Been doing Medicare since I walked through the doors. I will say this, it has increased every year. Every year. It went from the Part B premium was $104. Now the Part B is $135. It may say we've heard it may go to $144. We don't know. The deductible, I think, was 147, then it went to 163. Now we're at 185. Heard it may go up to 190. Why do they keep increasing? Because Medicare is underfunded. Straight up, Medicare is underfunded. We got 80 million baby boomers, not counting the people that are on Medicare disability. A lot of people you've heard, want Medicare for all. I don't know where that's going to go. As it states now, the Part B will be the same. We don't know about the increases. A little bit more actually about the Medigap plan. All the plans are the same. Whether it's Mutual Omaha, Humana, Aetna, United Healthcare, CSI, Cigna, IAC, GCU, Continental Life, Mutual Omaha, Bankers Life, all these companies are great companies. The plan is identical. The big difference is the premium. We tell people to shop it all the time. Typically, it takes 4 to 5 years before we can switch people's premiums. The big thing, too, is you got to be able to get past the health questions. If your premium goes up and you want to switch, but you just had a stroke or you just had cancer or heart attack, or you got an upcoming procedure, no company is going to accept you if you have an upcoming procedure to switch G plan. No company, because they know they're gonna have to pay out of pocket. So as long as you can get past the health questions, we tell people to shop the price. If you can save, $20, $30, $40, saved a couple yesterday, as a matter of fact, counting prescriptions and supplemental plans, like $180 a month. That's a big deal for people on fixed income. I wish I could say I saved everybody some money, but the fact is that people are going up. Their prices are going up. I hate that. I wish I could stop the premium increases right now, no doubt about it. But we try to get y'all the best rates for sure. We really appreciate everybody. Prescription cards. This stuff is Chinese. The prescription drug cards, to me, is Chinese, and I look at this stuff every day. We got a great team with Angel and Teresa here at the office really helping me out with the prescription plans. Even if you don't take prescriptions, you should consider a drug plan, because if you don't take it, that's when you'll pay the penalty. If you've got an Advantage plan, you'll typically have a prescription plan included. But if you go with the Medigap supplemental plan, you need to pick up a standalone drug plan. These companies change this stuff every single year with the tiers: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. Is it a preferred brand? Is it preferred generic? Is it generic brand? Well, if it is, you may pay $3 here, but if you go mail order, you pay $0. Or you may pay $47 for preferred brand, but if it's mail order, it actually may cost you a little more. Can you go to CVS or Walmart or Walgreens or Costco? A lot of stuff going on with the prescription plans. Is it generic? That's a big deal with all this stuff. We've got some software that I'd say is good 99% of the time, but medications are changing so fast. Y'all know that just as well as I do. They're changing like a wind. Prescription plans and tiers are changing like the wind. So let's dive into it. Your initial enrollment period and the annual enrollment period are the most common times to get your drug card. So when you're first getting signed up for Medicare, that's a great time to get it. Or during the annual enrollment period, which is going on right now, that's a great time to switch. The actual drug plan cost will vary depending on prescriptions and depending on the plan's formulary and what tier it's in. Also, which phase of the drug benefit are you in? Are you in the deductible phase? Most plans have a deductible, some don't. Are you in the coverage gap phase? Which pharmacy do you use? So your drug plan will charge a monthly premium, and then depending on your medications is when you'll have different copays or deductibles. This is stuff that is very specific to your specific situation with medications. I've seen premium prescription plans cost anywhere from $13 a month all the way to $80 a month. I've seen plans with deductibles. I think the highest Medicare prescriptions, they run on a what's the word I'm looking for? they run on basically a policy, meaning that most deductibles for 2020, the most your deductible can be is $435 of any prescription plan. That's the highest deductible you can have is $435. That's what most of them have. So it really depends though. Like you may have a premium of $13 a month, which sounds awesome, and it is. But if you're got a tier 4 medication, it may cost you like $1,800 over the course of next year versus going with a drug plan that's not $13 a month, but $28 a month. But over the course of the year, instead of the $1,800, may only cost you $900. So big deal. Yes, your premium would be twice as much, but if it's got the right tier in place, you may pay half as less. The infamous donut hole. Few changes going on with the donut hole in 2020. The initial coverage period is after you meet your Part B deductible. You pay a copayment or co-insurance for your medications. Once you and your plan combine to spend $4,020 for drugs during the calendar year, you enter the donut hole coverage gap. During the donut hole, you'll pay 25%. This is the change. You'll pay 25% of generic and brand name drugs until you reach the out-of-pocket limit of $6,350. What they did, they reduced that premium. They reduced the percentage of generic and brand name drugs you'll pay. I think it was like 30%. They reduced it to 25%, but they increased out-of-pocket to $6,350. Then if you pay that much out of that, if you and your plan combine to pay that much, you reach what's called catastrophic coverage. That's where you'll be charged $360 for generic and preferred brands, preferred drugs with retail price under $72, and 5% for those greater than $72. Then you'll be charged $895 for brand name drugs with retail price under $179, and 5% for those greater than $179. Well, most brand name drugs, if you reach that catastrophic coverage and you're on some medication that is out the wazoo for a price, chances are it's going to be greater than $179, and you'll have to pay 5% of it in the coverage gap or catastrophic coverage. Okay, that was a mouthful, but that is how it works. Those are the infamous donut hole. Depending on what medications, you may reach the coverage gap, you may not. You may have to pay the 25%. All depends on the situation. So great question is, well, Reid, what if I'm on this plan and then halfway through the year I go on another drug and now I'm just got to pay a fortune? That could definitely happen. No doubt about it. The thing is we typically recommend just going with the cheapest drug plan at the time, because you nor I know the future. So let's save as much money as we can and pray to the good Lord our health stays good and we don't go on a medication. Because every day with good health is a gift from the good Lord in heaven. So why in the world were you ever confused? Why are you confused? We went over the Part A, the Part B, the Part C, the Part D. We went over the Advantage plans, the Tier 1, Tier 2, 3, 4, 5. We went over the coverage gap, the donut hole. We went over the Medigap plans. We went over the macro change with the plan going from taking away the F plans but still being able to get on it if your Part A was before 2020. So why in the world were you confused? I don't know. I don't know why you were. Thank y'all so much for watching. That is my beautiful wife, Jana. I would not be where I am today without her, and that's my golden doodle Chance. That's my buddy. I went home last night and fetched with him because I promised I would. He's probably going to want to fetch tonight too. But that's my little family right there. We covered a lot of stuff tonight. We've been going strong for 45 minutes. I really, really, really appreciate y'all for watching. If you have any questions, you'll get an email recording with the webinar. You'll also get an email from me through the Zoom website on that you can reply to my email, ask me a question. Let's see, I think we got a question. What's the penalty for not signing up for Part D? So that depends on how long you don't have it. So meaning, let's say you don't take it, it's what it is. It's 1% of the national average of the national average cost for prescription per month. So the national average cost of a prescription drug, let's say it's $25. Well, what's 1% of $25? 25 cents. I think if my math's right. So it'd be 25 cents per month. So definitely not crazy amount. Some people, this has happened one time before. If you're dealing with IRMA, let's say you're dealing with a high premium charge from IRMA from making too much money, then it may benefit you not to pick up the prescription until you're making a lot less money, because that charge is out the wazoo for making too much money. Pre-existing conditions. Got another question going on for people turning 65 this year. Is Plan G the Cadillac plan? I'd say yes, no doubt about it. Plan G would be the Cadillac plan for people turning 65 in 2020 and going forward. It's the one that most comprehensive plan. They got a lot of different other plans. But listen, I thank y'all again. I'll answer any questions via email. Want to be respectful of your all's time. God bless y'all. Thanks again.